Good evening, everybody. Happy Hump Day. Happy January 31st, February tomorrow. Black History Month begins tomorrow. We'll be talking about that. Please like and share. Hey, Pesky, how are you? Jagman, how's it going? Nice to see you all. Hey, Eddie. Little Susie, how you doing? Hi, Sonia. Hey, Mike. How are you guys? I got a little bit of a cold, so I apologize for the sniffling. I'd appreciate if you guys could like and share the live. Would really, really appreciate that. There's now a link in my bio that takes you to a YouTube page that I just created. So what I'm doing is I'm uploading lives to that long format platform, and probably try to do some more things over there. I'm eventually going to host a podcast over there, which I think is going to be really cool. So yeah, so that'll be neat. If you'd like to support the channel, that's my Cash App right there. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that. So let's kind of jump in. First, there was a hearing today on Capitol Hill that involved social media executives. So Meta was represented, Meta, Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Discord, and what was the other one? Meta, Snapchat, Discord, TikTok. I'm missing one. Anyway, they were all there. They were all there, and they were all grilled pretty hard. The topic was X. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Jagman. They were grilled pretty hard regarding providing and or why they haven't provided more protections for children. I get it. I mean, I think this is a bipartisan issue that we could all agree on. And I'll give Lindsey Graham some credit. He leveled the boom on a lot of people that were a lot of the execs on that panel. At one point, he actually had to get Mark Zuckerberg to stand up, more or less turn around to the audience, because a lot of family members were there who had lost kids because of online bullying and or hazing or whatever else it was. So will we see action? No, because they're protected under certain clauses, free speech being one. They're protected from litigation, which I think is bullshit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So that was an interesting conversation. We do know that the House of Representatives is going to proceed with their attempt to impeach Alexander Mayorkas, who's a DHS secretary. Question I have is why? First of all, it's not even sure that they're going to be able to pass the articles of impeachment in the House. It's going to fail miserably in the Senate. And what do you accomplish? The Biden administration is just going to name a replacement. And this inaction by the Republicans regarding the border is a layup when it comes to campaign for the Biden administration. So the question is, will they invest in messaging to say, look, I've been pushing border legislation and border security. In fact, a lot of the monies that have been holed up in appropriations because the Republicans can't pass a budget in the House has money connected to border security. So their refusal to do anything about it is a campaign opportunity for the Biden administration. So we'll see how that goes. What else? Interest rates are not changing for now. The Fed met today. They're not going to lower and or raise interest rates, which was kind of expected. The economy is humming along. The expectation is that we will have what's referred to as a soft landing. So the idea behind a soft landing is that you gradually raise interest rates to avoid a recession, and then you do that at the time when the economy is humming, and it is. All measurements are there, and so it was not a surprise that they decided not to raise rates again. So the next time they meet will be in about 8 weeks. We'll see if they make changes then. Any movement likely will be down. So you'll start to see interest rates come down over the spring and summer, which is good news for all of us. So as reported by numerous news outlets, Donald Trump spent nearly $50 million on his legal fees, money that he got from the Save America PAC. Now, I think it's funny because the money he raised for that PAC was based on a lie. So he raised money based on the big lie, and now he's using money to defend himself from the big lie indictment. Make that make sense. That would be 10 cents of every donor paying. So basically 10 cents of every dollar he's raising is going to pay for his legal fees, not only his, but Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira, who you'll recall are co-conspirators in the Mar-a-Lago indictment. Speaking of Mar-a-Lago, so Jack Smith met with Aileen Cannon today. Jack Smith and his team met with Aileen Cannon and her team today. And that conversation, we don't have a lot of information from it, just that they met because of this was a request by the government because they have to share the documents. So Jack Smith and his team have received security clearance to be able to review this information so they can share it with the judge. The judge then will have to determine what can and can't be shared. But the information shared is so top secret and so above the highest level of classifications that it can't just be shared with everyday folk, which is the reason that the Trump team can't see it yet, because they don't have those clearances. Likely attorneys will, because they're going to have to review it to see. So we'll see what happens there. That trial is scheduled for May 20th. That's highly doubtful that that trial will happen on that particular date because of all the various machinations that Aileen Cannon is doing during this process. We'll see. It's likely to happen, if it does happen at all before the election, it would be probably this fall. And then, of course, they'll be bitching about election interference, whatever. We're used to it. Yeah. So those are the kinds of things I wanted to sort of cover off on. I think there's a lot into all those things. We'll be keeping an eye on it. We were sort of expecting a decision by Judge Engoron in New York today regarding the Trump family and the Trump orgs fraud situation, whether or not they're going to have to fork up money or how much they're going to have to fork over. But that's the topic, right? So tonight I want to get into some of the things that the Democrats have accomplished over the years, and there's a list there, and then we can add the numerous wins by the Biden administration: 13 million jobs added, strongest economy recovery from COVID and G7, semiconductor manufacturing back to the U.S. That's the Chips and Science Act, bipartisan infrastructure law, PACT Act for veterans, the most significant gun safety laws passed in decades, historic climate action, protecting the fundamental right to marriage, strengthening U.S. alliances around the world, set demographic and professional diversity records for judicial appointments, executive orders protecting reproductive rights. The list goes on and on. So you can thank a Democrat. I know it's hard to do, but please, thank a Democrat. Good evening, Professor.
Good evening. How's it going, Fax?
Very well, brother. How are you?
Doing okay. Doing okay. I think Judge Enron is edging us all for some reason. So I feel like he's doing this on purpose. I
Well,
feel like
yeah,
he's doing this on
yeah.
purpose. It's like, tell us how much
Right.
money
Well,
he has to pay.
there's six more elements to that case that have to be decided on, including, what the future of the Trump organization in New York. So it's not just the financial penalty. It's also whether or not they're still going to be able to do business in New York. So
True.
there's a couple of other pieces connected to it. I think the earliest we would have heard would have been today, and who knows, we still might. But yeah, it's the same thing that we're waiting on the DC circuit, right? Because
Yep.
we live in the world of, like, SVU and NCIS, or expect an hour TV show to be the conclusion of a trial. It takes a
Are
while. It
are
takes a
you
while.
telling me that it is unrealistic to expect that at the end of the hour that I have a complete wrap up of everything with
I
that
know.
case?
I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. My bad.
Disappointing.
I'll do better.
Well, speaking of uh, misinformation, sure, we'll go with that. I don't know if you saw the story out of Pennsylvania with the uh, gentleman who unalived his father.
I heard about that
Um,
on YouTube, and machete involved and awful things like that.
so, in doing a deeper dive in this, I mean, this guy was really, really red pilled, really, really, really red pilled,
Yeah.
and again, it just begs the question of when are they going to wake up to see that the violence is happening on their side of the fence? Because I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. The story is absolutely incredible. And while an argument can be made that sure, he clearly had mental illness, I mean, these things that are going on within the Republican Party, where literally, singers are considered a psyop. and that and that and
I
that
know.
football games are being rigged for the Democratic Party
Right.
by the rich old white owners, huh?
Right. Right. Isn't it funny though, Professor? Because they think people on the right think that the people on the left don't like sports or that we don't play sports, but yet
Hmm.
we're part of this conspiracy around the biggest game in the world. It's just the strangest thing, but not surprising.
Again, it's just this story really jumped out to me though. And when we talk about misinformation, we talk about the damage that this does. I mean, here's a perfect example right here of the damage that that this has done. And again, while you could argue that this gentleman clearly was in was in need of significant mental health, I mean, how, how do you deny the impact that this is having?
I know. And for those of you who don't know, there's a story that's being reported that a young man who had taken the red pill did some horrible things to his father, and there was a lot of anti Biden sentiment connected to various manifestos and or whatever else
Hmm.
social media postings, and he removed a certain piece of his father's body, and it was found on the first floor in the corpse itself.